The night before our wedding, my fiancé Ethan Hayes asked if I'd let his terminally ill childhood friend, Stella Moore, borrow our big day for one day. She's in late-stage cancer. She won't make it through the month. When my parents split up, the Moores took me in. Her folks are both gone now. I can't walk away from her. It's just going through the motions. No license, no kiss. I thought it only meant a handful of photos. Until the wedding coordinator called. Ms. Bennett? Mr. Hayes has changed the bride's name to Stella Moore. Your wedding will need to be rescheduled. When I rushed to the hotel, Stella was wearing my wedding dress. Ethan stood behind her, tucking her veil into place. He dropped his hands the instant he saw me walk in. Claire, don't read into this. You're the one I'm marrying. Stella doesn't have much time. I just wanted to give her one good day. Stella stared at her own reflection. Ms. Bennett, don't be mad at him. I'm the one who begged. I'm dying anyway. Are you really afraid I'll take him from you? The full wedding itinerary lay on the table. Every last detail was intact. Everything except me. Even saying no made me the villain. I left the wedding group chat, set my engagement ring on the vanity, and said, she can have the wedding. And from today on, she can have you too. Ethan glanced at the ring and frowned. Don't be dramatic. He pulled out his phone and showed me a new booking. 15 days from now. Same ballroom, same guests. Flowers and decor will be redone exactly how you wanted. I dialed the wedding coordinator. Manager Carter? Cancel the booking for 15 days from now. Itemize everything I paid for personally, and refund whatever you can. Ethan clamped his hand over my phone. Claire, I promised you a wedding, and I'll deliver. I don't want it anymore. His brows drew tight. Stella's only taking up 2 hours. Once she leaves, the welcome signs, photos, and dress all get switched back. Do you really have to gamble 7 years of us on 2 hours? You're the one gambling with us. The dressing room door swung open. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes walked in, each holding a family welcome gift envelope. They'd been on their way to the pre-wedding rehearsal with both families. When Mrs. Hayes spotted Stella in the mirror, she froze. Where's Claire? I stood by the door. Her gaze fell on the wedding dress, and her face shifted. Ethan, you said you were only borrowing the venue. How'd you let her wear Claire's dress too? Stella bowed her head and twisted the skirt in her fingers. Mrs. Hayes, it's my fault. I saw the dress and it just reminded me of my mom. When she was alive, she always talked about seeing me in a wedding dress. Tears dropped onto the white fabric. I'll only wear it a few minutes. If Claire doesn't want me to, I'll take it off right now. She tried to stand, but her breath hitched suddenly. Her hands fumbled for the oxygen tube on the table. Ethan caught her at once. Sit back. Don't get worked up. Stella leaned against his arm, chest heaving. Mrs. Hayes glanced at me. Claire, we'll have the dress cleaned and altered again for you. Let her wear it today, all right? I glanced at the envelopes in her hands and said nothing. Stella slipped the oxygen tube back in and spoke softly. Mrs. Hayes? I have one more favor to ask. My parents are gone. I probably won't live to see next month. Today, can I call you and Mr. Hayes' mom and dad? Mrs. Hayes tightened her grip on the envelopes and didn't answer. Ethan turned to her. Mom, just do this for Aunt Moore. For her sake. When I lived with the Moores, Aunt Moore had me call her mom too. The room went quiet. After a moment, Mrs. Hayes handed one of the envelopes to Stella. Only during the ceremony. Stella nodded through tears. Thank you, Mom. Something clattered outside the door. My mom stood there, wedding favors spilling across the floor from her bag. My dad bent to pick up the boxes, his hands shaking with anger. Claire. What is going on here? Ethan stepped toward him quickly. Sir, Stella's health is failing fast. We're just doing a small ceremony so she doesn't have any regrets. My dad held up a hand to block him. I'm asking my daughter. I didn't explain. I grabbed my bag. The wedding's off. Let's go home. Ethan chased after me and grabbed my wrist. The ceremony's about to start. There are a lot of guests here. Once it's over, I'll drive you and your folks home myself. My dad stared at his hand on mine. Let go. Ethan didn't loosen his grip. Sir, Claire and I have been together 7 years. I never planned on marrying anyone else. My dad's eyes fixed on the welcome sign in the ballroom, printed with Ethan Hayes and Stella Moore. Your mouth says no, but your hands already went through with it. Stella's old classmates had started arriving. Someone recognized me and murmured nearby. Isn't that Ethan's actual fiancé? Stella's borrowing someone else's wedding? And wearing her dress? Even if she's sick, that's messed up. Stella heard. Her face went pale. She pulled out her oxygen tube and fumbled with the buttons down the back of the dress. I'm not doing this. Claire's right. I've already been so much trouble. I'll leave right now. The button caught. The more she hurried, the harder she gasped. Ethan covered her hands with his. No one's making you leave. Then he raised his voice to everyone in the hall. Claire already agreed to let Stella have the ceremony. Stop talking about it. Every eye turned to me. I wrenched my hand free. I never agreed. Ethan's face went rigid. Stella's tears spilled over. Ethan, don't lie for me. I get why Claire won't do it. Every woman only gets one wedding. Why would she give it up to a stranger? She called herself a stranger, while she wore my dress and stood beside my fiancé. Ethan pulled me into the lounge. Be mad at me if you want. Once Stella's gone, I'll apologize however you want. People out there are already saying she's stealing the wedding. She doesn't have long left. Do you really want her last week's tainted by this? Am I the one tainting her? Claire. His voice dropped, pleading in his eyes. She can't handle this right now. So I'm supposed to? Ethan's jaw tightened. You have me. You have your parents. You have a steady job. What does she have? Nothing. I don't have you anymore. I'm right here. He raised his voice, then forced himself to calm down. You're the only one in my heart. After the wedding, life goes back to normal. A formality doesn't change anything. Someone knocked on the lounge door. The caregiver who'd come with Stella held out a form. Mr. Hayes? Ms. Moore had chest pain just now. We need to reconfirm the risk of leaving the hospital. Can you sign this? Ethan took the paper. I saw the emergency contact line. Name Ethan Hayes. Relationship to patient, fiancé. His signature was there. The caregiver noticed me staring and said quietly, that field doesn't really mean anything. No legal weight. I looked at Ethan. Why fiancé? Stella filled it out. You signed it. She got upset when I put friend. It's just a title. No point upsetting her right now. You could have put authorized contact. Ethan signed the form anyway, without changing it. Claire, this piece of paper won't stop us from getting our license. To you too, it's just 3 words. I tapped the fiancé line. To me, it's who I am. Stella stood in the doorway, oxygen tube under her nose. If it bothers you that much, I'll change it. She reached for the form. Ethan stopped her. After the ceremony. Stella looked at me, tears in her eyes, and for a split second, the corner of her mouth twitched. A tiny, triumphant smile. Gone as fast as it came. Music drifted from the ballroom. Sound check. Stella needed one final walkthrough. I was about to lead my parents out when I heard a familiar line from the stage. I've seen you at your lowest, so I want all the more to walk with you to something better. I froze. Those were my vows. The ones I'd written for Ethan. 7 years ago, not long after we started dating, he'd first told me about his parents' divorce. We'd sat on the floor of our tiny rental apartment all night with the lights off. He was 15 then, he said. Every day after school, he was scared to go home. His dad changed the locks. His mom moved across the country. He'd sat in the stairwell until midnight, until Stella's dad found him and brought him home. I didn't lecture him. I didn't judge. I just sat with him through it. I'd only ever shown my vows to Ethan. Now Stella was up there, reciting them word for word. I walked over and snatched the notebook out of her hand. Stella's face flushed bright red. Claire, I couldn't write anything myself. Ethan told me to use yours as reference. Reference? You're reading it straight off the page. Ethan came up from the audience. She can't memorize new material last minute. It's just one line. I flipped open the vow book. The back pages were creased, marked up in red pen. Stella had even noted where I planned to pause, where I'd reach for a hug. This doesn't look like one line. Ethan was quiet for a beat. You can rewrite them. I lifted my eyes to him. So whatever she wants, I buy new. Whatever she uses, I replace. Even the things I wanted to say to you, I have to write all over again. That's not what I meant. But that's exactly what you keep doing. Stella stepped down from the stage. You can have the vows back. Even if I say them perfectly, no one's gonna believe Ethan actually loves me. She brushed past me, voice dropping to a murmur only I could hear. Shame, though. If my family hadn't moved away back then, the woman standing here today might not be you. I turned and blocked her path. You canceled the small ceremony I booked for you, didn't you? Stella's eyes flickered. A week earlier, when Ethan first asked to borrow the wedding, I'd called the hotel and booked a smaller event space right next door. Same day, same flowers, same photographer, same ceremony. I'd even rented a brand new wedding dress for her. Ethan could walk her down the aisle, hand her a bouquet as a friend. It wouldn't have touched my wedding at all. Then, the day before, the hotel told me the booking had been cancelled by Stella. She hadn't expected me to call her out face to face. The main ballroom's already paid for. No point wasting money. The small room wasn't rescheduled. Why'd you tell Ethan there wasn't time? Stella's gaze hardened. Because I wanted him to be my groom. Just once. She finally admitted it. Claire, I'm dying. You get to marry him. You get 10 years, 20 years. Can't I have one single day? But that day you want? It's mine. I know. Stella's eyes glistened red. But I don't have time to be decent about it anymore. Footsteps sounded behind us. Ethan stood a short distance away. He'd heard every word. I handed him the cancellation record. She likes you. And she never wanted just a little bit. Ethan read it, then turned to Stella. Why'd you cancel the small room? Stella didn't lie. She said it straight. I wanted to have a wedding with you. Even if it's fake. Ethan, I'm not asking you to love me forever. I'm just asking you not to ruin it for me today. Her voice faded. Her chest began to heave. Then blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. Ethan ran and caught her. Get the caregiver. I stayed where I was. I didn't move closer. Stella clutched his shirt, crying brokenly. Don't blame Claire. She's just scared I'll take you from her. Ethan picked her up. He paused when he passed me. She cares about me, and she doesn't have long. This ceremony doesn't change 7 years of us. I looked at him. You know she's trying to take my place. And you're still going through with it? I just want her to have no regrets. What about my regrets? Something flickered in Ethan's eyes, hesitation. Then Stella coughed up another mouthful of blood. And that hesitation vanished. Claire. Wait for me. The ceremony was delayed half an hour. The caregiver cleared Stella to continue, and she refused to go to the hospital. Ethan found me. I promise. No more of your vows. No real rings. No kiss. When it's over, I'll tell everyone in front of them that you're my real fiancé. I was done listening. Ethan gripped my shoulders. Last time. You always say that. Music swelled. The ballroom doors opened. Stella walked down the aisle on Mr. Hayes's arm, toward Ethan. Mrs. Hayes sat in the front row, but her eyes kept finding me. The MC finished his opening. Stella called Mr. and Mrs. Hayes Mom and Dad. Mrs. Hayes dabbed at her eyes. Ethan slipped a prop ring from the wedding kit onto Stella's finger. Then Stella began her vows. When you were 15, you lived in my house. I always thought if I waited long enough, you'd look back and see me. I just ran out of time. She didn't use my words anymore. Every line was a confession to Ethan. Some people in the room were crying, moved. The MC sounded choked up too. When they reached the end of the ceremony, he lifted his mic. You may kiss the bride. Ethan spoke at once. Skip that part. Stella's smile froze. Slowly, she pulled out her oxygen tube. I'll never be able to breathe normally again. Ethan, I'm not asking you to love me. I just want to know what it feels like to be kissed by someone I care about, while I still can. Ethan stepped back. Stella, we had an agreement. I know. Tears fell onto her dress. That's why I'm only asking once. If you say no, I'll never bring it up again. Every eye in the room slid to me. Ethan looked over too. We stared at each other across a dozen feet. If he walked off that stage right now, this would stay a ridiculous, harmless charade. All he had to do was say no. Ethan looked away. He lifted a hand and brushed Stella's cheek. Then he leaned down and kissed her. No one forced him. No one held him down. Applause broke out around us. I turned and left. Behind me, I heard Ethan's hurried footsteps. Claire. He caught up at the ballroom doors. The next second, Stella started coughing. Someone yelled that she was bleeding again. The footsteps behind me stopped. After a beat of silence, Ethan ran back. I didn't even bother looking over my shoulder. Outside the hotel, my dad held the car door open for me. My mom took my hand, tears streaming down her face. Claire. Let's go home. I got in and turned off my phone. On my wedding day, I didn't become a bride. And 7 years with Ethan stayed behind those doors forever. Back at our apartment, I started packing. We'd rented the place together. Half the closet was his, half was mine. Everything came in pairs. I took my ID, my clothes, my laptop. I left everything else. I already had the wedding expense sheet saved on my work computer. Venue, photographer, dress, flowers, favors, every payment was logged. I canceled our marriage license appointment at the county clerk's office, ended the lease, and made an itemized list of everything we'd split, proportional to what each of us had paid. By midnight, Ethan had called 27 times. I sent everyone to voicemail. 30 minutes later, the lock clicked. I was just zipping my suitcase shut. Ethan burst in, his shirt streaked with blood, his tie gone. He saw the luggage and his face darkened. Stella's back at the hospital. Doctors say she's stable for now. Okay. I didn't stay with her. Not my problem. Ethan blocked the door. About what happened at the wedding, I can explain. You promised you wouldn't kiss her. Everyone was watching. She was already at her breaking point. So you kissed her? It was just one quick kiss. I sent the expense sheet to his phone. That's everything I paid for out of pocket. The hotel breach fees are on you. Ethan didn't look at it. Claire, it's been 7 years. I know. 7 years, and one kiss ruins it? It's not the kiss. It's every single choice you made. He reached for me. I stepped back, cold and steady. You gave her the venue. You let her wear my dress. You lent her your parents. You let her call you her fiancé. And in the end, you gave her yourself. What was left for me? Ethan's eyes glistened. I love you. Keep that to yourself. I dragged my suitcase to the door. Ethan still stood in the way. His phone rang. A voice note from Stella popped up. She was crying when she spoke. Ethan, I'm awake. The doctor says I probably won't make it to next month. Can we just keep pretending? I want to keep calling you my husband, for the little time I have left. Ethan hit answer right in front of me. Enough. Delete all the wedding photos. Change the relationship on the medical forms tomorrow. Stella sobbed. Claire already left you. Who are you even doing this for? Ethan glanced at me, almost on instinct. I shoved his hand aside. Move. This time, he didn't stop me. I went to stay with my parents. The next morning, the hotel manager called. Ms. Bennett? The small event space you booked already incurred some charges. When Ms. Moore cancelled it, she said Mr. Hayes was aware. We need to confirm who's responsible for the refund fees. Mr. Hayes didn't know. There was a pause on the other end. We have the call recording. Send it to me. The file came through just as the doorbell rang. Ethan stood on the porch. He hadn't slept. Dark circles rimmed his eyes. I just need 5 minutes. My dad moved to shut the door in his face. The hotel manager called again. I put it on speaker. Stella's voice came through clear as day. Cancel the small room. The staff asked if she wanted to keep the photographer and dress. Stella laughed, sharp and bitter. What's the point if Ethan's not the groom? The main ballroom's all I need. The recording ended. Ethan stood in the doorway, all the color drained from his face. The manager went on. You paid $18,000 for the small space, Ms. Bennett. Ms. Moore requested that some of the decor be moved to the main ballroom, and Mr. Hayes signed off on the add-ons. We'll need all 3 of you to settle the bill. I looked at Ethan. You kept saying there wasn't time to book something else. I already booked it. She cancelled it herself. Ethan swallowed hard. I never saw this booking. You see it now? My dad slammed the door shut. Through the wood, I heard Ethan's hoarse voice say my name. Claire. I'll figure this out. I didn't answer. 3 days later, he came back. This time he brought a stack of medical records. I didn't let him inside. We stood in the front yard while I flipped through a few pages. Stella did have lung cancer. The treatment records were real. The doctor's notes were clear. Condition is incurable. Exact prognosis cannot be determined. Current imaging shows no rapid progression. Recommend continued treatment per plan. No 1-month deadline. No any day now death sentence. Ethan pointed at the notes. She twisted what the doctor said about possible sudden decline. Told me she only had a month left. She was scared if she gave me more time, I'd say no to the wedding. I closed the file. So? Ethan blinked, thrown. She lied to us. She lied about having a month left. Does that make it okay that you kissed her? That's not what I'm saying. If she really only had 1 day left, would you think you did the right thing? Ethan couldn't answer. I handed the file back. How long she has doesn't excuse crossing boundaries. You knew I'd hurt. You knew how she felt about you. And you still got up on that stage. These records prove she lied. They don't prove you're innocent. Ethan crumpled the papers in his hand, face pale. I'll handle everything with Stella. Once you do, don't come back. Stella's aunt flew in from out of state. She went to the hospital first, then got in touch with me through Mrs. Hayes. When she answered the phone, she kept apologizing. Claire, my sister and brother-in-law did care for Ethan when he was young. But they never ever asked him to marry her. She sent a long voice recording. I recognized the first few lines. Stella's mom, weak and frail on her deathbed. Ethan, look after Stella for us, won't you? Then there was more, most of it had been cut out. But she's always relied on her family. What scares us most is her using what we did for you to guilt you into things. Don't put your life on hold because of us. Stella needs to learn to live her own life. And you deserve to build a family with someone you actually love. The aunt sent the original group chat file and timestamps to prove it. I forwarded everything to Ethan, with one line. Settle the bill. The next day, we met at the hotel to go over costs. I had to be there. Stella came too. She'd changed out of the wedding dress into a loose hospital gown, sitting in a wheelchair. Ethan sat across from her. On the table, full medical records, the hotel call recording, and Stella's mom's final message. Stella looked at me, face pale. Claire, I never meant for any of this to get so out of hand. I opened my laptop. Let's start with the bill. The wedding manager went through item by item. $18,000 in fees for the cancelled small event space. My wedding dress had stains and minor damage, reimbursement required. Changing the welcome signs, seating chart, and photography schedule for the main ballroom came to $34,000 in add-ons. Stella bit her lip. I'll pay you back. Ethan set a bank card on the table. I'll cover the main ballroom costs. Stella's responsible for the dress and the small room cancellation. Stella's head snapped up. Ethan, I've already spent so much on treatment. Claire booked that small room for you out of kindness, knowing you were sick. You cancelled it. You don't get to stick her with the bill. Stella's eyes welled up. You never used to count money with me. Ethan slid the hospice care paperwork across the table. Your emergency contact is now your aunt. She'll go with you to all future appointments. I promised your parents I'd look out for you. I'll cover part of your medical costs when it's necessary. But husband to a fiancé, groom, all of that ends today. Stella gripped the wheelchair arms until her knuckles whitened. Because of Claire? Because you lied to me. Ethan looked at her steadily. Your illness is real. Your fear is real. But none of that gives you the right to turn someone else's life into your souvenir. Tears streamed down Stella's face. I love you. I've loved you since we were kids. You lived in my house, wore my dad's old clothes, ate my mom's cooking. Everyone thought we'd end up together. Then Claire showed up, and you never even looked back. Ethan's voice didn't soften. I'm grateful for everything your family did for me. I'll pay that back. But I can't pay you back with love. You knew that. That's why you used being sick to force me to play along. Stella turned to me. You win. I closed my laptop. I wasn't playing your game. I already left. When the bills were settled, I got up to leave. Ethan followed me to the elevator. The wedding refund should hit your account today. Okay. I ended the apartment lease. The full security deposit is going to you. Split it fairly. Claire. He held the elevator door open. I know it's too late to say anything. Stella lied to me, and I crossed lines I never should have. Give me another chance. We don't need a wedding. We can start over. I looked at him. Start over how? Friends first. See me when you want. If you don't, I'll wait. Ethan, you keep thinking waiting fixes hurt. The elevator dinged. He still didn't move. I'll wait forever if I have to. That's your choice. I'm not coming back. Pain flooded Ethan's face. 7 years. Can you really just let all of it go? When you kissed Stella, you knew we had 7 years. In that second, you thought I'd wait. That I'd take it. That I'd understand. Now that I've made my choice, you're using 7 years against me. He slowly pulled his hand away. The doors slid shut. That evening, Mrs. Hayes came to my parents' house. She brought the family welcome gift envelope she'd never gotten to give me. Claire, this was always meant for you. I didn't take it. Mrs. Hayes sat on the couch, crying quietly. Ethan deleted all the wedding photos. He explained everything to every guest. He hasn't slept in 3 days. Every time he closes his eyes, he sees you walking out of that hotel. I poured her a glass of water. Mrs. Hayes, if you're here to change my mind, you're only making me more sure I'm right to leave. She froze. I hurt you too, didn't I? When Stella called me Mom, you knew your parents were right outside. She bowed her head. I thought it was just a title. You all did. But wife, daughter-in-law, fiancé, those things are made of titles. I pushed the envelope back to her. Ethan and I are done. Please don't come back. Mrs. Hayes left crying. My mom closed the door and turned to me. If you need to cry, cry. I shook my head. I already cried all my tears at the hotel. I went back to work and volunteered for the new regional finance center opening in the next city over. It was a promotion. It meant relocating long-term. My manager asked if I could commit. I signed the transfer confirmation that same day. My dad helped me look for apartments. My mom packed my things. Life filled up again, busy and steady. Ethan stopped waiting for me downstairs at work. He sent 1 email a week. First, the wedding expense settlement. Second, the terminated lease agreement. Third, just 1 line. I'm sorry. I never replied. A month later, Stella posted a clip of the wedding on social media. In the edited footage, she walked down the aisle toward Ethan in her dress. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes sat in the front row. Ethan put a ring on her finger. He kissed her. And there I was, standing in the doorway, cold and angry. Her caption read, "In what's left of my life, I just wanted a wedding with the man I've loved for years." His ex-girlfriend stormed into the hotel, tried to shut down the ceremony, and made me, a terminally ill patient, pay for the dress. I don't want to fight anymore. I just want peace for whatever time I have left. The comments blew up. Someone tracked down my account. Ex crashing the wedding? Pathetic. Both parents are there. Who's the real other woman here? Harassing a dying girl? That's heartless. The video got shared into our team channel. By 10 a.m., my manager called me into his office. Claire, the company doesn't interfere in personal lives. But you'll be heading up regional finance. Your public reputation could affect the role. I need you to submit a statement as soon as possible. I nodded. You'll have it by end of day. Back at my desk, I didn't read the insults. I opened my cloud folder first. Wedding contracts, payment receipts, original welcome sign design, marriage license appointment, hotel name change records, small room booking, cancellation recording, 3-party settlement bill. Everything, sorted by date. I redacted Stella's medical details, keeping only the recording of her canceling the separate ceremony. Then I posted a short, clear statement. I was the original bride. After Stella Moore asked to have a wedding experience, I booked a separate venue, dress, and photographer for her. She cancelled it herself and insisted on taking over my wedding. Ethan Hayes changed the welcome signs, itinerary, and bride's name without my consent. On the day of the ceremony, I ended my engagement. All attached documents are verifiable. 30 minutes later, the hotel's official account confirmed the contracts and payment records. The wedding coordinator also posted the original itinerary. The comments flipped. The original bride booked her a whole separate wedding, and she still had to steal the main one? Wore her dress, stole her vows, then called her the villain? Her illness is sad, but that doesn't excuse this. I closed the tab and handed my organized file to my manager. If the company needs to verify anything further, I'm available. He flipped through the first contract and looked up at me. This timeline is cleaner than our quarterly audit work papers. Occupational hazard. When I walked out of his office, Ethan's statement had gone up too. He didn't mention Stella exaggerating her illness. He didn't post her mom's final message. The whole thing was about his own responsibility. Claire Bennett was the original bride. The decision to let Stella Moore participate in a wedding ceremony was made by me, without Claire's consent. Claire never stormed anyone's wedding. She was the one whose name, dress, and place were taken. The kiss during the ceremony was my choice. It had nothing to do with Claire. Her request for reimbursement was a normal financial settlement. All mistakes were the result of my choices. He attached the full, unedited ceremony footage. It didn't cut out the part where I set down my ring. Everyone saw it. Ethan knew I'd already called off the engagement, and he still kissed her anyway. Stella deleted her post soon after. That night, she called me. I answered. Claire. Happy now? You called me just to ask that? Her breath was ragged. I could hear medical equipment in the background. I'm dying. Now everyone hates me. Even old friends are asking why I stole someone's wedding. Are they wrong to ask? Stella went quiet. After a moment, she laughed, low and bitter. Did you ever stop to think? If you'd never existed, Ethan would have stayed with me till the end. Even without me, there would still be boundaries. You keep acting like I'm the thing standing between you. He doesn't love you. That has nothing to do with me. All I heard was ragged breathing. He used to be so good to me. If I so much as coughed, he'd drive to the hospital in the middle of the night. Now my aunt comes with me to appointments. He won't even step inside my room. You made him do this. I didn't argue. Stella, you can hate me all you want. I have a life to live. I don't have time for this. She started crying. At least you have a life. I only have months left. So everyone else is supposed to hand you theirs? Claire. I hung up and blocked her number. The next day, the company wrapped up its internal review. My transfer stood. My manager sent me one line. Proceed as planned. The mess hadn't taken my job. It hadn't dragged me back to Ethan either. The wedding Stella had fought so hard to steal ended up being perfect proof of exactly what she'd done. Before I moved to the next city, Ethan asked to see me one last time. I almost said no. Then he sent a transfer receipt. Wedding costs, dress damages, hotel penalty fees, all settled. The memo read just 4 words. Voluntary compensation. I met him downstairs at my office. I hadn't seen him in a month. He'd lost weight. His once-fitted shirt hung loose on him, and he hadn't shaved properly. Did you get the money? I did. Ethan handed me a file bag. Inside was the wedding dress, cleaned and mended. There were faint stitches at the waist, and the stain on the skirt hadn't come all the way out. I took it to 3 places. They said this is as good as it gets. I didn't take it. Get rid of it. Ethan held the dress against his chest, his arms slowly falling. You used to say you wanted to save this dress for our daughter. That was before. Claire, I've cut off all personal contact with Stella. Medical expenses go through her aunt. I won't see her alone again. Okay. I'm not blaming her for lying to get out of this. I'm not putting all of this on her. Okay. Ethan's eyes reddened. Can you at least stop being so calm? Yell at me. Hit me. Anything. I asked you, back at the hotel. Over and over. You never listened. His breath shook. Give me another chance. I'll never ask you to understand anyone again. I'll never make decisions for you again. We don't have to get married. Just, don't leave me completely. I glanced at the dress in his arms. When they swapped the venue, I thought about letting it go. When she put on my dress, I told myself it'd be fine once it was cleaned. When she called your parents mom and dad, I told myself it was just a dying wish. When you put fiancé on those medical forms, I still waited for you to fix it. When she read my vows, I stayed right there. Tears rolled down Ethan's face. Do you have any idea how many times I stepped back? I know now. Knowing now doesn't help. He took a step toward me. If I hadn't kissed her that day, would we still have a chance? I didn't leave when you kissed her. I took off my ring long before that. You saw me do it. Ethan closed his eyes, his face ashen. I thought you were testing me. Forcing me to choose. I was waiting for you to choose. And you did. I turned and walked back into the building. This time, he didn't follow. 6 months later, I was officially promoted to regional finance manager. The company gave me a housing allowance, and I used the refunded wedding money for a down payment on a place of my own. It wasn't big, 2 bedrooms, 1 living room. My dad picked out the furniture. My mom insisted on buying me all new bedding. On moving day, she stuffed a red suitcase into the back of my closet. This was for your honeymoon. Want me to throw it out? I opened it. Inside were travel guides, adapter plugs, and 2 unused passport covers. I took out the one that belonged to Ethan and dropped it in the trash. Keep the suitcase. I'll use it for my own trips. My mom looked at me for a long moment, then smiled. That evening, Mrs. Hayes sent me a message. Stella's condition had worsened. She'd been moved to hospice care. Ethan hadn't gone. He'd only sent the money he'd promised for her care. Mrs. Hayes also told me Ethan had donated the mended wedding dress. He hadn't renewed the lease on the apartment. I read it and didn't reply. Stella's life deserved respect. But the things she'd done didn't become right just because death was near. Ethan had chosen to keep his promise while drawing a line. That was something he had to learn. It had nothing to do with me. I logged into my banking app. The joint savings account was already closed. In my personal account, there was still a fixed deposit labeled wedding fund. I tapped edit and deleted those 4 words. I typed in their place. Freedom Fund. A save confirmation popped up on screen. The doorbell rang. My parents stood outside with grocery bags, calling for me to let them in. I set down my phone and walked over. The entryway light came on. The house was mine. No names to swap. No place for anyone to take from me. A wedding can be lent away. Vows can be rewritten. Love can be taken back. But the rest of my life? I won't spend it paying off someone else's debt.